this is just very brief, but one of the things that we learn in our grueling MBA studies is the importance of stopping briefly at the end of a marathon to think about how far we've come. So this afternoon I started to jot down all the topics and things that we talked about in the last 5 weeks, and I just wanted to read out the list and to have you listen to them and think, oh yeah, we did talk about this and this and this and this, and how much more, hopefully, you know now than you did 5 weeks ago. And if not, or if you have questions or want to bring up other points, that now would be the time to do that. It's like, you didn't really cover life cycle analysis. What are you talking about? So this is the list, and I think it's a pretty good list for these short sessions. What is sustainability? The benefits of being a sustainable business. Climate change, challenges and opportunities. Collaborative consumption. The maker's revolution. Green business certification, green and not so green consumers and how confused they are, matching marketing tactics with objectives, how incredibly great social media is, and messaging and the importance of story. And I'm sure I've left some things out, but does any of that not sound familiar to anybody in here? If you missed the class, that would be one reason. So I just wanted to give you that great long list of things and think, wow, we did kind of cover quite a bit there. So any comments or questions before we turn it over to see your synthesis of what you've learned?
Nancy, could we welcome some of our...
I just wanted to say good evening to everybody, ladies and gentlemen, and I wanted to start off by saying thank you to Laura Lee and to Nancy for this fabulous series. I did have the pleasure of attending, I guess it was 2011 now, and if anything, this has been an improvement upon what was already an excellent series last time. So thank you both. Also just wanted to say thank you to Constance and the Sustainability Commission for making this all possible for us. So thank you to you guys. Now, as for my project, the Benicia Forum on Nuclear Power, this is actually the action plan, which you will see a couple of slides down the road, is actually the restarting of a project that I began back in 2011. Now, just a little background information. The Benicia Forum on Nuclear Power, I started in, I believe, April of 2011, and it began as a monthly forum article in the Benicia Herald. We since expanded, became a discussion group with, I think at our peak, there were 6 members. Constance was one of them, actually. And that's when this statement of purpose sort of was created and established. This is a little bit old, but this is still very much what I would like to do. Facilitate public cognizance of the advantages and disadvantages of nuclear power generation, really here in California, and to be thinking about the future of nuclear energy in California's state energy portfolio through an annual forum, which never did materialize. That's what I'm hoping, that's what my action plan is concerning. So next slide, please. Just a little more background information. This was really began in light of the Fukushima incident, as you can probably all recall, from March 11, 2011. And so that was really the impetus for this. But again, like I said, the focus is really nuclear power generation here in the state of California. Really the guiding document, if we will, that really led our early discussions was AB 1632, all right, which was an assessment of California's 2 nuclear power facilities as conducted by the California Energy Commission, and recommendations for various things like seismic, security, amongst others. But I won't go into that now. So just a quick overview of our 2 nuclear power facilities here in California. Diablo Canyon, which is in San Luis Obispo, owned and operated by PG&E, and SONGS, San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station, majority owned by and operated by Southern California Edison. All right, and the NRC, Nuclear Regulatory Commission licensing on those expires at Diablo Canyon in 2025. Actually, that's Unit 2. Unit 1, 2024. And then SONGS, which has been experiencing big problems over the past year now Again, I won't go into that now. Formally expires in 2022, although that may take effect sooner. Next slide, please. All right, and then here is just an image. I apologize for the quality of these. Diablo Canyon here, which I did have. I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to visit and tour as led by a guide. Beautiful terrain. Just to point out, here is Reactor 1, Reactor 2, the turbine building, which I got to walk through, and the spent fuel pools just behind. Also very interesting, the reason I like this picture, here you could see reserve coolant fluid up here. And the big thing is this cement deck right here, as you see. This is the quote-unquote permanent repository for nuclear waste in California. And this is a major focal point of the AB 1632 assessment. All right, so that right there, important thing. Anyway, and then there's Songs, as you can see, both right on the ocean. Songs is down kind of between San Diego, Los Angeles. I also had the opportunity not to tour that facility, but to visit the outside. Next slide. And finally, my action plan, I'll go through this very quickly, is really to organize the forum discussion that had been planned really going back to 2011. And I had hoped we would have a speaker from A4NR, the Alliance for Nuclear Responsibility. I had a chance to meet with them in Sacramento. Dr. Rochelle Becker is the executive director. She had expressed an interest in the possibility of coming and speaking here in Benicia, but again, we never were able to actually firm anything up. That's what I really want to have happen. And my dream would be, I know somewhat ambitious, but would be to have this take place in August and have this take place in the City Hall and be broadcast on Channel 27, ideally, again. So strategies, again, this template was taken from one that was recommended to me by Laura Lee last time. So that's where the template is from. Strategies, these are more really initiatives that would need to happen in order to have this event actualize. Organization, advertisement, funding. And again, I just want to point out this is a very, very rough and preliminary action plan. I know that there's a lot more involved than you actually see up here, but just some of the main tactics for organization would be formalizing the Benicia Forum on Nuclear Power Executive Committee, which was formed unofficially in August of 2012. Again, we've kind of had a little break, but again, I want to revitalize that group. Confirm a date, obviously, with the A4NR, location confirmation. As for advertising, contacting of local press, Benicia Herald, Valero Times, Benicia Patch, maybe even Contra Costa Times, as the A4NR is a fairly big deal, so to speak, if this were to happen. Funding, that's where I really need the most work presently. I need to put together a cost projection. Again, I'm in the very preliminary stages with regard to this issue. Executors would be me, RS, Ryan Swan, and also the Benicia Forum on Nuclear Power Executive Committee, which was 4 members in last August. And of course, we would take care of all of those. Timeline, again, I would love to have this happen ideally in August of this year. So really starting in March is when this process would begin running through the actual date. Again, ideally August. And then cost, again, is yet to be determined. It's yet to be calculated. So thank you very much.
My name is Nikki Nunes, and I am trying to start Benicia Makerspace to inspire and empower all ages. And I definitely want to thank all of you to force me to rethink this one more time in the process of making it happen. Like, while I was doing it a little bit kicking and screaming, I know it was worth it. So why am I doing this? You can go ahead. My kids. So my very first parent-teacher conference as a parent, what they did was slap down a multiple choice math test that my kindergartner took. And to me, multiple choice tests and seat time is not education at all. And it's really disappointing to me that that is what's passing for education right now. And so I was really inspired by the winner of the TED Prize. He just won $1 million, and he's talking about the education system is not broken, it's just not what we need in today's world. And I thought that was really good. And so what inspires me is on the next slide. Like, I read lots of things and I see all the stuff that people could do. Like 15-year-old designs iPhone wallet case. Kenyan boy scares off lions. Teen creates 3D prosthetic arm by using 3D printing. A 15-year-old found a method to detect pancreatic cancer that scientists told him would not work. And so the difference between those tests and seat time and this is what really is frustrating to me, but also where I want to do my work. So my major goal is on the next slide, which is to open Benicia Makerspace to support both education and innovation. So I want to teach skills and provide access to tools, resources, mentors, and new technologies, because those things are now available to everyone. And so that's why I say innovators can be from 5 to 90, because now the ability of what people can do is changing dramatically. So the next page shows the business model I'm trying to establish is a membership-based model, and ideally the memberships would pay for the space and the upkeep and all of that. And so I just stole the membership pricing from a family-friendly makerspace in Los Angeles as a rough draft of what I'm thinking of right now. And then there would also be events, classes, workshops that could bring in additional funds and pay for the supplies needed for those type of things. So in order to get there, I have 7 objectives, which are on the next slide. So incorporating as a nonprofit or figuring out how to work together with Constance's presentation is there. Finding a space and getting in. That is where I learned my biggest lesson already by making some key mistakes that I learned from. Securing funding, marketing, promotion, actually opening. I'm getting a lot of pressure to run a summer program this summer, and I'm like, I don't think I can make that happen. And I'm starting to come to terms with, that's okay. And I'm interested in getting to the place where we could host a mini Maker Faire, Green Science Fair next year or the year after. So I have details about all of these based on where I am. So I've been researching like how to incorporate, what it takes to do it, all the paperwork. My real problem tends to be that everything says Nikki, and I have a day job, and I have kids, I have friends. So I'm trying to figure that out. If I get this in place, the rest of this can happen pretty easily. So trying to get a board of people together to support it. The next one is finding a space. So it's on the next one. Yeah. So right now I'm looking at 2 options, and I need to do more research to find some more. So 991 Jackson Street is right next to Arts Benicia in the Arsenal. 1401 East 5th Street is the old Sundowner restaurant that's near the Best Western. Figuring this out leads to all the paperwork and stuff with the city. That's not too complicated, but relatively expensive. The next step is securing funding. So kind of the same issues you're having. So I might need to figure out a plan. And so I already tried Kickstarter. I actually was able to raise over $13,000, but it didn't meet my goal. And so that experience gave me some ideas for how to do it again. So I'm calling that Kickstarter 2.0, it's like the new version. Doing some grant writing and thinking about corporate sponsorship, business loans, those type of things, like what's the best way to make this happen. This deadline is in my mind, it's coming up. Actually, I think it's April. I think I typed the wrong date. So I have enough time to actually be able to pull that one off, because they have science education grant program, which actually might work for you if you think of it that way. The next one is marketing and promotion. So I have a community that formed around my space that didn't work out. And one thing I realized is there's a fair bit of makers in Benicia who don't know each other are here. Even a teacher who has a makerspace in his classroom in Pittsburgh and different things like that. So I gotta figure out how to get these people together and start the movement. I'm thinking about getting a booth at the farmer's market just to be able to do some activities and not have to do the whole summer program quite yet. Setting up email list, newsletter. I already have some Facebook and Twitter, but expanding that, writing, figuring out a way to just keep talking about this kind of stuff. Contacting students, contacting press, but this time organizing press with Kickstarter would be a really good idea. The next one is to open, and so this is the stuff that's way far in the future, so I won't go into it too much. But essentially a lot of this is the community wants to make and build things, so that includes painting, setting up the space, building furniture, all that kind of stuff. Building computers, making a computer lab. So essentially we'll make our own space, figure out about the equipment and all of that. And it's actually the equipment, tools, and supplies that are the easiest to get donated. Ace Hardware is ready and willing if I could give them a list. And so that side seems easier than the other side. The next one is, I feel not ready, but I did put one feeler. Because I used to run a teacher credential program, I knew I could get free summer interns of people who want to teach science. And so I put an ad to see if anyone wanted to work for me this summer, because I knew I couldn't get them later if I decided to do it. But if I decide not to, I don't have to hire anyone. So we'll see what happens with that. And then the last one is just about how to host the Mini Maker Fair and Green Science Fair. And I guess for me, my problem is really like, what should be the first step and what should be the second? And can I do this before I do other things? That's kind of where I am right now in my thinking. The next one is to remind me and us why we're here. And so I actually think the innovation is what brought us all here to this clean tech. So I wanted to end there. And then the last one is stay tuned. If you want to find out what I'm doing and what's happening, I have a website, I have a Facebook page, I have Twitter, and you can email me.
Good evening, Constance Butel. My sister used to say, I'm Roberta Butel from Northwestern Bell, but I don't have any poem for you tonight. So I'm Constance Butel, and very pleased that we are here tonight. Kudos to Nancy and Laura Lee and all of you, and thank you for our alumni. Kathy Carriage has just joined us earlier. She's now the chair of the Sustainability Commission. And the last time, and after hearing all of you speak, the last time I spoke in 2011, I floated this idea of a Benicia Clean Tech Expo. And it happened. And so this is sort of the progeny of that idea. And it's the Solano Clean Tech Innovators Association, SCTIA.org. And you can actually find that on the website. So let me take you through what I'm thinking about for this association and the people involved, people like Doug Snyder and Chuck Rieger, who's not here tonight, that really, and Wayne Woody and Edwin have been part of the expo. Many of you have participated. Allison almost participated in the expo, but she decided to get married instead.
Go figure.
But so she'll be part of the expo this coming year, which we're actually going to have again October 17th, 18th, and 19th. So, and Nikki definitely is involved. She's on our advisory team. So from this very class, we've had a genesis to take the idea of clean technology and sustainable business so that we can actually celebrate it. And part of what we did for the Clean Tech Expo, we wanted to celebrate businesses in Benicia that were already doing things of clean tech and sustainable nature, to encourage other Benicia businesses to consider those ideas and to invite more clean tech businesses to come to Benicia and find this as a place to do business and to have a renaissance. So if we can have the next slide. And so our message, my 30-second message, Solano Clean Tech Innovators Association provides its members with the laser knowledge, networking, and access to the new industrial revolution. We put the echo into economy, where clean technologies and applications scale from the individual to the global market. Next slide. I did a SWOT on this. Our strengths, internal, experienced team and advisors. We had a marked success with our Benicia Clean Tech Expo. We've got skills and a network already established. Our weaknesses, internal, limited resources, time, money, and people. Where did we hear that before from any of the other presentations? Our external opportunities. I love the phrase from Barbara Ward, the hinge of history. I really feel we are at the hinge of history in where we are as a humanity. And we're going to sweep out the old industrial model in the city of Benicia. So we're in that new hinge of history where there's massive changes coming forth. We have City of Benicia support from the mayor, the economic development. We have unused city facilities that need something to happen there, something exciting. We have a need or a hunger for a community. We have for a community of entrepreneurial space and all ages. Do you see a connection with Nikki in the back? And then threats external, the economy, sequestration, impact. I mean, let's be current. Next slide. The action plan. So objectives, 100 paying members in 2013, business development, education networking, makers/clean tech center identified. And again, there's a lot of linkages and alliances with the work that Nikki's thinking about. Strategies on the memberships, the expo exhibitors and attendees. We had over close to 400 attendees to the expo and 26 exhibitors. So we've got a good start there, and we're outreaching with our advisory group. We are confident that every one of you in this room will want to be part of this exciting organization. Tactics, email, publicity, website, personal contact, core, who does it, the core and advisors, and how much. We've been operating on a shoestring, or less than a shoestring. So I really haven't put any figures there because we're able to actually move a lot of things without really any financial cost. The cost could be more in time. Under business development, we want a business info directory, buy local strategy where we're really promoting Benicia businesses, and we're working with Allied now Republic Services on waste diversion, which actually takes products that are waste from one business and their resources to another business, and that's happening very successfully already in Benicia, and we've got a great partner with our local rep, Marie Knudsen. Tactics, business license. Well, we could say a lot about that because there's something like 2,100 issued business licenses in Benicia, but the data that's collected on that, I don't know if it's a shoebox full of 3x5 cards in the city or what, but it's not very comprehensive and you can't pull very much information from it, but it does exist. Our expo list, canvassing, publicity, newsletter, Republic Services, they have a insert with every garbage bill, and we've been successfully advertising Sustainable Benicia each time. So, and we've got a real ally, no pun intended, in Allied now Republic Service. And who? The city, county, Doug and Constance, and we have Marie Knudsen for doing these kinds of things, and unknown in terms of cost at this point. Finally, education and networking. I should say Constance Butel's my name, education's my game, because that's, and networking as well. And what we want is relevant and timely topics, things that you can hear about at lunchtime and take it back to the business right after you get back to sit down at your desk or computer. And we have 4 to 5 lunch and learns already scheduled. These are going to be very compact, probably an hour and a half session with substantive speakers. We already have David Haygood from IDEO, who has agreed to be at our first lunch and learn. And the date, I haven't put a timeline, I guess that's on the next one, is already April 10th that we've got the date scheduled for David. And then finally, Makers Clean Tech Center identified. I think this is really important for Benicia. And we have talent right here in this room to actually help make that happen as well. But some sort of City of Benicia location, we need tactics meetings and negotiations. We get the core and advisors to work on this, and how much that we don't know, but we're hoping to get Solano Community College. The president, Joel Laguerre, has actually indicated with Measure Q monies that they would like to locate something in Benicia. Why not a center where they have faculty supporting us, et cetera. So once we get that stake in the ground and have a great collaboration with somebody who's talented and focused on this, and it's 9 to 90, right, or 5 to 90 in terms of makers. The San Jose Makers Faire drew 60,000 people last year. So there's a hunger for that, and wouldn't it be great if that hunger was satisfied right here in Benicia with children and others? Okay, timeline. So we already have been having advisory meetings. We've had 2 already, and we've got a core group of about 12, 15 advisors. Our web build, we've got a position on that, and through March we're going to be doing more things. Doug's in charge of the newsletter. I owe him an article by tomorrow. April 10th is the launch, the official launch of SCTI. And it's our lunch and learn. We've got David Haygood, as I say, speaking. He's outstanding. And it's just a brilliant idea of how to design and think about design, things that we need to know about whether you're a classroom teacher, an artist, or you're a manufacturer. And then the Clean Tech Makers Center, site identified July 2013. If I can take you back one slide. The logo. We had at least 3 meetings on the logo. And it takes an engineer's eye. You can't really see it, it's too faint. But it's like the circle, the dynamic green pulsing circle with all these twirling events, and there's a little arc formed. And our first one, which Doug got from Fiverr, FIVR.com, for $5, they design a logo for you, was a square box with little straight lines. I said, no, we need a curve to show motion, and having an engineer as a consultant is all the difference in the world. He said, if you have your arc going this way, it's going backwards. So with one stroke of a comet, the arcs are now going to show forward momentum. And that's what we're going to do in 2013. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you again to everyone involved in putting this together. I have to agree that it was something that I read in the paper that Constance had featured in the Benicia Herald. And yes, I am one of the oldies who still reads, and the only paper is the Benicia Herald. I really don't want to read anything else. My name's Leilani Kirby, and I'm an occupational therapist. I'm a graduate of San Jose State University, 1993. So I'm almost 20 years a therapist, working primarily in healthcare, in the rehabilitation field, working with persons with disabilities. Sometimes they're chronic, sometimes congenital, sometimes, unfortunately, due to a trauma or accident. And I work with the persons who wake up finding out that somehow they're not able to function the way they did. Tonight, my presentation is the human body, equal power plant, conserve your energy. So our bodies equal a multicellular power plant, excuse me. So I pose the question, if you can think of that idea as your human body as the power plant creating the energy, how do we look at conserving your energy, especially if you're a person who has difficulty performing certain tasks. There is what they call the MET. It's a metabolic equivalent of energy required to perform a task. It's all that scientific lingo, and you can look it up. But energy is required to perform work. How much energy do you need to put in to take a shower or a bath? That's different for everyone, even though that scientifically it might equal 1 MET. For you and I, it might be easy to do, but for someone with MS, it might be extremely difficult to do. So sometimes the equivalent of energy in and out isn't the same for everyone. So taking a look at that, I posed the question, how much time and effort does it take to complete the task of grocery shopping? From the beginning to the end. I refer to this as an activity analysis. How many steps, how much energy is required to complete the task? Are you exhausted by the time you've put away all those groceries? Do you need help to complete this errand? Do you find it enjoyable? Does your back or your hands hurt right now just thinking about it? I know mine do. This action plan, or this idea to take this into a plan, is, again, looking at resources. And we, I think, can all agree that we are all aging. That's a constant. Many of us are sandwiched with the challenges of caring for elderly parents or loved ones, or sometimes children with special needs. We find that we just don't have enough energy to do all the things that we want to do. Then what about the persons with chronic pain and a disease that limit their function, that limit their ability to perform simple activities of daily living? I would guess that most of you know someone with a severe disability, diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, bipolar disorder and depression, Parkinson's, MS, muscular dystrophy, asthma, breathing conditions that require oxygen. There are significant medical conditions that limit a person's ability to function due to pain or that lack of energy, right? And that energy is what's needed to perform and complete a job safely and completely. So there's 3 green principles to apply to this human body, the power plant. The goal of these principles is to achieve sustainability of the health of the body and improve the human's quality of life. Number 1, conserve energy and work simplification. Start smart and end smart. Forecast and set your priorities. Organize tasks to reduce steps. Delegate tasks. Self-pace and self-monitor. Conserve your resources. So I just want to give an example. If you're a person who has MS and you have limited energy reserves, shower the night before your doctor's appointment the next day. So you're actually forecasting and kind of in a business kind of model, like how much do I have and where do I need to go, and kind of forecasting and projecting. And for me, I don't come from the business world, but I come from the human healthcare world, and so I kind of just shifted the words in the boxes, so to speak. Number 2, self-preservation and injury prevention. Perform tasks with your large muscles. So for instance, my larger muscles are going to perform the task of picking up this basket of groceries. My little muscles are the muscles or the joints that do the same task but smaller, okay? If you have arthritis or you have strength disability, things that limit your strength, you're going to get more work done with bigger motions through space. You're going to also take care of your body for the long run and doing things that you want to do that are enjoyable. So take care of the small muscles, the small joints. Okay, for example, think for a moment how many times you use your hands to grasp and pick up, carry, lift groceries, put items in the cart, take items out of the cart, put items back into your cart, take items out of the car. Take another basket of groceries and put them in the house, then go back downstairs, go back to your garage, go pick up another couple of baskets of groceries. Again, you're holding all those grocery bags with your little joints. arthritic sometimes joints, especially as you age. How much energy does that task require? Are you exhausted by the time you've gotten all the groceries up to the kitchen? You're not done yet. You still have to put them away, right? And then you probably have to cook dinner, and you probably have to, on and on and on. Whoops. Okay. Going back to the third principle, universal design and barrier-free architecture. This is the modification of the environment or items in your space to optimize the performance and enhance the quality of life for humans. The conservation of energy allows us to perform activities that we find more enjoyable. So again, you offset energy for something else that you want to do, something that you find enjoyable. So here's where I introduce my 30-second speech. The grocery gurney. Who was it that said necessity is the mother of invention? Well, the Wikipedia, I put that into my smartphone, said unknown author, but at times ascribed to the Greek philosopher Plato. So I myself had challenges. I had an injury that limited me, and I wasn't able to use my right hand. I couldn't pick up things, I couldn't grasp, I couldn't make a fist. I found it difficult even to pick up a small item such as this. And it was pretty unnerving and kind of scary. Luckily, I had a husband and family and daughters to help. However, as I got better, I began going out into the world and going back to the grocery store thinking, how am I going to go grocery shopping? How am I going to do these things that we do every day that are equivalent to being independent, right? Independence. It's very important in our culture. So what I realized is that I couldn't go to the store and do it the way I used to. I had to come up with other ways of getting the job done. And I kept mulling it over, as an occupational therapist does, as we do. We kind of look at problems and create solutions to help our clients. Well, my solution was the grocery gurney, and the idea was to marry the grocery cart with the concept of the lifting mechanism of a gurney. I've seen so many gurneys bringing people in and out of the hospital, up and down from their room to x-ray. And I thought, if I could move all those groceries all at the same time from the grocery store, put all the items in, scan it, put it back in my grocery gurney, slide it into the back of my hatchback, get home, slide it all out, not 15, 20 trips, take my grocery gurney, walk out the mechanism, the lifting mechanism, and roll all my groceries into the house. Begin then to unpack my groceries. I don't know how many steps that, I didn't count them all, but it seems significant. And that's my product, and if you want to hear more, I'd love to talk about it with you.
So good evening. My name is Bruce Barrow, and I, along with 4 other people in this room, I guess we have a quorum tonight, are on the on the Sustainability Commission. And it struck me during our last meeting when we were listening to people come and request grants from the Good Neighbor Steering Committee money that is available, that looking at the people out in the audience who were presenting, it seemed to me that I'd been seeing pretty much the same people doing the same thing for the last 30 years. And that, along with the people that were at Constance's Clean Tech Expo, the Arbor Day event I went to, it struck me that while Benicia's city government is striving to be one of the most sustainable cities in the, if not the state, certainly our Bay Area region, that we have a serious awareness problem. We're preaching to the choir. We're seeing the same 400 people at everything. This room should be packed. This room should be packed with established business people wanting to know how to become more sustainable. So for a project for this course, I thought about looking at the city as a business, looking at our 28,000 citizens and our 500 plus businesses as potential customers. Next slide. This is my business. This is what I do. As Nancy pointed out, times have changed. Business is truly different now, and this statement was true 50 years ago. It'll be true 50 years from now. More importantly, the way we do business in today has changed, it has evolved, and it continues to evolve every day. No longer is it sound business practice for companies to be apathetic about the impacts of doing business today or the consequences of how those decisions affect the world. Next slide. So when Nancy threw up this graphic and she was asking us what is the first word that comes to mind when you think of marketing, of course my mind hit here, direct. Marketing is very complex, so within here we do some of this, we tie in this, we stay away from branding because that's a whole other thought process for us. But the direct marketing is what we do. Slide. So for my project's objective, I wanted to reach every residence and business in Benicia with a message of a sustainable nature, promote green and sustainable avenues of behavior, and create an evangelical belief that sustainability doesn't mean sacrifice. Tie the message into charitable, nonprofit, volunteer groups activities for a specific month, and derive response to the group's website via a URL link to a landing page. This is a landing page we did for Jive Software. It was to C-level people. So we sent them their message. If they responded, they put in a priority code, which linked directly to their data. As soon as they hit that, the arrow went live. They went to this page. They could download the white paper, and more importantly, their information now, instead of being paid to get, was now belonged to Jives. They were a prospect. Slide. So a direct marketing campaign, I would do this over the course of a year, a monthly direct mail campaign, using a cool little product that the USPS has come up with called Every Door Direct Mail. We do this with a postcard style self-mailer and trying to drive volunteerism to establish groups or change groups' habits where necessary. So we have 13,485 deliverable addresses in Benicia, times 12 months. That gives us a potential of 161,820 impressions. Advertising works on frequency and reach. How many people can you reach, and how often can you reach them? So we would do our creative, we would tie it into the group/event for that month. Again, call to action, directing them to the landing page. Use Google Analytics to collect, track the unique visits, and then hopefully on the landing page you would have to fill in the information, and then we'd analyze the results on a monthly basis and at the end of the year. Slide. Some of the organizations and events we could tie in with: California Native Plant Society, Benicia Community Garden, Benicia Tree Foundation. Now the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, and Little League and PAL softball and soccer, there's where I would want to change habits. I ran just a few numbers today based on Little League. I was involved as a Little League coach for a lot of years. If when the managers went down to pick up their uniforms, they also were given an aluminum water bottle for each kid. And they used that. Just Little League. We would take out, through the course of one season, 50,000 single-use plastic bottles.
Wonderful.
Just Little League. Slide. So, all you people don't know about cost, I know about cost. This is what I do. So strategy, $2,000, $2,500 for creative concepts, which would create our templates, give us our final files. For our printing, monthly edits, landing pages, development, photography if we need it, production management, printing about $3,000 a month. Because the USPS has this every door delivery service, we don't have to pay a dime for data. Mailing services, that's probably a little inflated, but we'd have to make 5 drops or 4 drops because you can only do 5,000 per mailing. Postage, because it only costs 16 cents a piece. So we'd have a total campaign cost of just under $99,000 or 61 cents per impression. And I didn't really have time to do a lot of creative for this, but this is something that Constance and I have been working on, and it's a format that I think would work. This would work. This is for our getting rid of single-use plastic bags. So this could work as a postcard. It could work as a poster. Just, it struck. I was in Rayleigh's one day and I said something. The girl also offered me a bag, and I said, "No, it's made out of oil." And she said, "Really?" I see everything plastic's made out of oil. Really? No. Anyhow, that's it.